What's going on, guys? Me and Larson are back. I know it's been a while, probably since the end of football season, really, but we got some college basketball tournament talk, starting with the SEC. Larson, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. It's the best time of year. It really is. This is it. I got the A10 tournament on right now on my TV, watching a little Richmond. Like it's just great basketball all the way around and really good betting opportunities. So I'm excited
Yeah,
to win some.
this is unfortunately my last spring break, and so I won't have to miss these tournaments anymore. I'm in beautiful Humacao, Puerto Rico. Not much basketball going on here, but we still got some picks. I've been keeping up. I've been keeping track, watching some stuff on my phone. So the SEC, uh, pretty clearly Alabama's a very heavy favorite here. I think your next top contender is probably A&M, but Kentucky's kind of heating up at the right time.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see Tennessee be second. I'm looking on DraftKings right now, and Tennessee second. You would think Kentucky or A&M would be a second team, but they've got Tennessee. I'm not going to be able to get there with Tennessee. I think their offense has been so bad. No Ziegler is going to be huge for them. And they're the 5 seed, so they're going to play an extra game than all these other contenders. I'm completely out on them, which I really like.
Yeah, Tennessee's solid, but the way that they're built to beat up on bad teams. They're built to smother bad teams with defense, and then
Which they
however
did
many
plenty of
shots.
times.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just not the case right now. So they'll probably end up drawing South Carolina or Ole Miss. I think they've lost to almost both. I think they've almost lost to both of those teams. I might be getting mixed up with somebody else, but the winner of Georgia LSU will go on to play Vandy, which is actually pretty good for Georgia because they can beat both of those teams. After that,
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but
I'm not betting Georgia. You can't interest me with Georgia at 500 to 1. I will say this though, because I kind of usually like to do, depending on the size of the conference, but I like to kind of go 2 contenders, 2 teams I like, and then maybe a long shot. And I like Vandy as my long shot actually. So I took him at 4 to 1. It sucks because Liam Robbins just got hurt. Their big guy who's been really good for them. But I would not be surprised. They're not going to win the SEC tournament, but can they make maybe the semifinals? They'd have to beat Kentucky, obviously, which is tough. But they just beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena without Robbins, their big man. So I think it's possible. And at 40 to 1, if you get Vanderbilt to the semifinals, you got a great hedge spot for you there.
yeah, that's what I was thinking of it in terms of they
Yeah.
could at least do like A&M did last year. A&M kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I think I was going to say they remind me a lot of A&M because they're getting hot at the right time. I don't know if you know this, but their last 9 games, the last month of the season, Vanderbilt, they're 8-1. They've beaten Kentucky, they've beaten Auburn, they've beaten Tennessee. Their only loss, surprisingly, was to LSU, which kind of sucks. But like if you look at all the metrics love Vanderbilt. They're one of the best shooting teams. The last month, they are the 3rd best offense in the country, which is really weird to think about, but they have a lot of the keys that you look for with kind of a long shot team. Obviously, Kentucky runs the SEC tournament. They do every year, but Vandy, Kentucky, 40 to 1, I think it's too good. So I put a little bit on the Commodores.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. Another team that I kind of like, I don't know if I'll be betting on them. The answer to that is probably not. But Missouri. We've seen Missouri have some straight up insane offensive explosions. And if they can play their best basketball, they can beat anybody in this conference. Will they play their best basketball? That's yet to be seen. But they're a 4 seed for a reason. They're ahead of Tennessee. They're ahead of Vanderbilt. They're ahead of Auburn and Arkansas. Missouri's really not a bad squad. I think they're a good value pick, I guess, if you want to get the fourth seed. I would say they're probably maybe the 5th or 6th best team, but they're frisky.
Yeah, and they're on DraftKings right now. They're 25 to 1, and Tennessee, who has to play Missouri and has to play an extra game, is plus 300. I mean, so it's the value is definitely there. They're gonna have to beat Alabama, which of course is gonna be tough. But I'd like that. I definitely can see that. Are we both in on Kentucky, betting Kentucky at what is it, plus 400, plus 450?
Unfortunately, they're heating up at the right time.
Yeah.
They're going to end up. I think they'll end up playing. They'll play the winner of Game 6, so that means that
they got Vandy. They'll get Vandy or Georgia or LSU.
Yeah, and they can handle them.
yeah. I mean, they can obviously beat any of those teams. I mean, they're going to have the home court advantage of this tournament, like they usually do. But they're playing well at the right time. Since that weird loss to Georgia they've been 5-1. That only loss was to Vanderbilt. But they beat Tennessee when Tennessee was still kind of good. They beat Auburn. They just went into Bud Walton last weekend and just destroyed them. And they still have, is he the best player on the conference still? Sheboy. He's just a menace, an absolute monster. So they thrive in these settings. And I almost, for all the shit that Calipari gets, which I give him some too, because I don't know if he's that good of a coach, but he seems to thrive in these conditions, like better with the teams that are kind of under the radar. Not that this team's totally under the radar, but like they're not a 1 seed or a 2 seed like they were last year. So I feel like this is almost the best spot to bet them.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. And like you said, Calipari, he's won the SEC tournament, more times than I can count.
Right.
Granted, that's probably because the SEC has typically been pretty bad in basketball for the most part.
Yeah.
But, I want to get your thoughts on this team too. And I brought it up. Arkansas is at a 10 seed. They've had trouble, man, but they still have 2 lottery picks on that roster.
Yeah. I can't quit Arkansas because, like, it's almost like the Hawks. You look at their roster, you're like, this team is good. And then you watch them and you're like, this team is not good. And I know they've got, they lost Brazil early in the season, which was huge, but Nick Smith is back and looking dangerous as ever. And like they have the talent there, and you just wonder if they're going to put it together. It makes it hard for me to kind of pick against them. But if you look at that quadrant of the bracket where they're playing Auburn, the winner plays A&M, like, you could tell me any team comes out of there. A&M's good. I respect A&M. I really do. But if you told me, hey, Arkansas beats Auburn and A&M, like, I would buy it. I mean, I really would. And what are they, 12-1 maybe, 10-1? So it's a pretty decent price. I think can't fault anybody for taking Arkansas there, or even Auburn, even though I don't like Auburn.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to kind of be like last year with A&M. I feel like we're going to have Bama or, Kentucky, or actually A&M now, like one of these top seeds, and then it's going to be somebody really random. And I could see it being in Arkansas. I don't have a lot of faith in Mississippi State. I really don't have a lot of faith in Florida without, I don't know if Colin Castleton's still hurt.
None. Yeah.
Anybody past the 10 seed, it's not going to be. But I could see it being Arkansas, and I don't have any faith in Auburn, but maybe.
They'll go 12 of 18 from 3 or something like that, and they'll that's the thing with Alabama. It makes it hard, but it's possible.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being Bama and somebody a little off the wall. I don't know. We'll see, though. We got plenty of previews coming up. Which other teams did you have? I know you said you had 2 favorites besides
other than Vandy, Kentucky. I mean, I hate just taking the 1 seed, but I mean, the top half of the bracket for Bama is not hard at all. I mean, I have to get, like, if Bama was like even money, I probably would have to think about it, but I got like plus 170. I'll take that because they're going to be in the championship against hopefully Kentucky, where you win either way, but I just don't see any challengers for them. And I know it'd be easy to say, I think the easy thing to say is like, well, with all the distractions, and it's like Brandon Miller's playing fine still. The team is like, they're fine. They're going to come here and be fine. And Nate Oates has won this before. It's not like they're playing anybody tough until they get to the title. So I'll take them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just don't outsmart yourself on this one type situation.
Yeah, they've had no problem.
Other than that,
they've had no problem with those teams. The other thing is, like, if they play Florida, something I just found, the last 4 times they've played Florida, they've averaged 91 points a game. So if they play Florida in that quarterfinal round, look for maybe an over or a team total or something, especially without Castleton. So something to look at. Yeah. But yeah, those are my 3. Actually, and something weird too, before we get off of them, I was looking at this, and I don't know. Tell me if this is a trend or if this is a coincidence, right? The bottom half of the bracket, the 2 and the 3 seed, they play their quarterfinal games. This is Central Time at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And the next day they play the semifinal at 2 o'clock. The next day, the championship at 12 o'clock. So not a lot of rest there. You're getting less than 24 hours of rest.
Yeah, that's a lot of turnaround.
I was thinking, I wonder if that impacts them at all, whereas the top half is getting usually 24 hours of rest or more until the championship. And 4 out of the last 5 tournaments, SEC tournaments, have been won by a team from the top half. The only exception was last year, Tennessee from the bottom half, and they beat 8 seed A&M. So I don't know if that's a trend or if that's a coincidence, but it is something to look at about maybe getting some rest. But I'll still take Kentucky from the bottom probably.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my play. We'll see. I don't know. I'm excited though. We got ACC up next. We're going to talk a little ACC, then we're going to talk some Big East. One of the ones that I think is going to be the most interesting by far is the Big 12, and then we got Big 10,
Oh yeah.
Pac-12. We're going to cover all of them, though. I figured we'd start with the SEC since that's kind of our wheelhouse. But, yeah, we'll be back. Look out for it. We'll probably go up. We'll probably churn these out pretty quickly. So Big East will probably already be up. ACC will probably already be up. And then we'll probably do the Big 12, Big 10 tomorrow.